like dancing on the head of a pin.
Vince turning 60 is like a sleeper wave.
Vince turning 60 is like all that road going
nowhere.
Thank you for that, wherever that came from. We appreciate that.
Onward and upward. Vince turning 60 is like a number 2 pencil with no eraser.
Vince turning 60 is like peeing pictures in the snow with no regret.
Vince turning 60 is like, didn't we just do this like 10, 20 years ago?
Vince turning 60 is like an IV bag full of coffee.
Vince turning 60 is like when life, liberty, and all the rest of that stuff still means something.
Vince turning 60 is like that dog off leash. Damn it.
Vince turning 60 is like, get some cleaning products!
Vince turning 60 is like fitting the square peg into the round hole.
Oh no. Screw the round hole.
Vince turning 60 is like getting to know the neighbor kids so they can open your bottle of glucosamine.
If only that weren't so true.
So true.
Vince turning 60 is like seeing volcanic ash from space.
Vince turning 60 is like a big thank you to the makers of glucosamine.
These were supposed to be shuffled randomly.
Yes, right.
Yeah, shuffled randomly.
Vince turning 60 is like blood sugar, baby, plain and simple.
Vince turning 60 is like riding the coastal winds without flapping your wings.
Vince turning 60 is like the air after lightning.
Vince turning 60 is like secretly perfecting the extraction of fire ant venom to deploy as heretofore unknown wildfire in an effort to wrench back King's Landing from the bloody Lannisters. Yes!
That happens in book 5.
She hadn't even read the book.
Winter is coming!
Vince turning 60 is like a warm pack of old Milwaukee and a cold slab of cheese whiz.
Vince turning 60 is like the last beer at the bottom of the cooler, reaching.
Vince turning 60 is like being brave and honest on the telephone.
Vince turning 60 is like
when they start mistaking you for the world's most important man. I don't always drink beer. But when I do, I prefer Dos Equis. Vince turning 60 is like that long walk home.
Vince turning 60 is like, how did I get here?
Vince turning 60 is like a Rubik's Cube.
Vince turning 60 is like walking into a hot room after being outside and your glasses fog up. But the room is also bright, so your lenses darken. And so you can't see anything, and you don't really know where you are.
Vince turning 60 is like butterscotch in April, chocolate whenever I want.
Vince turning 60 is remembering when we didn't even have answering machines, let alone cell phones.
Vince turning 60 is like continuing to vote for Dick Gregory for president year after year.
Yeah, black guy, right?
Vince turning 60 is like that Altoid you can't get out of the box.
Vince turning 60 is like that squirrel reaching.
Vince turning 60 is like that discount movie ticket. Reach me.
Vince turning 60 is like drops of rain while you're waiting in the car. The sound on the roof, the merge of the stream on the windshield.
Ooh.
Wow.
Vince turning 60 is like asking the big questions but not expecting anyone to answer.
Vince turning 60 is like spearfishing with a toilet plunger.
Vince turning 60 is like an ice cube melting slowly in a glass of scotch.
That's a nice one.
Vince turning 60 is like a bottomless mimosa. I sense a theme.
Vince turning 60 is like mumbly pegging your way to the top, one knife flip at a time.
Vince turning 60 is like jellyfish, thousands of them.
Vince turning 60 is like an out-of-print first edition sign. I like it.
Vince turning 60 is like painting by numbers.
Vince turning 60 is like iron on patches.
That was one of his.
Vince turning 60 is like remembering to pack the nose hair trimmer.
Vince turning 60 is like hang gliding at the edge of the universe.
Vince turning 60 is like skydiving with an umbrella.
Vince turning 60 is like, say what?
Vince turning 60 is like, oh, fuck it, dude, let's go bowling.
Vince turning 60 is like me turning 50.
Vince turning 60 is like loping into the San Francisco wind looking for a place to pee.
Vince turning 60 is like that neon tube flickering.
Vince turning 60 is like measuring increments of time by volume of urine.
Vince turning
Don't repeat it, that's okay.
Vince turning 60 is like discovering you can take a taxi cab to Timbuktu.
Vince turning 60 is like slips of paper tucked in books.
Vince turning 60 is like that burning pain in your feet after 3 hours of looking at art.
Vince turning 60 is like ponytail? We don't need no stinking.
Vince turning 60 is like red embers in a dark night fire when the breeze blows.
Vince turning 60 is like, ooh, the aisle seat.
Vince turning 60 is like
Hash brown potatoes, shredded bits of glutinous starch streaked with grease and onion, slow fried to a golden brown pile of delight.